They naturally start to leave, but Talon wants to stay. Vengeance and all that. And he's immediately discovered after a resistance member and the architect volunteers. Seriously, these people must be cursed. He has himself a pretty good chase scene before he runs across Alana, who's getting a massage. Rather comfy for a prisoner being forced into marriage with an evil despot who has captured and tortured her brother, isn't she? He's then knocked out of a window. After some more chasing, he becomes surrounded by guards and ends up dueling Cromwell. He thinks that Talon is Susha, and while Talon finds this accusation of sorcery odd, he accepts the challenge. The duel is epic, hard fought, and then Michelle hits Talon in the back of the head. How anticlimactic. Once more, Cromwell breaks the chains of his stereotype and displays a sense of honor, chastising Michelle and tells him that it's not Susha. We cut to the next day when we see Micah getting stitched up while getting the bad news.
What happened to Alana?
She's to be married to Cromwell tonight.
Like hell.
And the warrior is to be crucified. I should have helped him.
Like hell you should have! You'd probably cause demons to rise and drag you both down to hell! Micah decides that they will attack tonight. This is about the same time when the writer remembers Talon's buddies, and they decide to go in and save him, and it turns out there are plenty of people who owe Talon their lives. Based on everyone except Talon's skills, that's not very surprising. Anyway, we get dramatic music as we fade into them having gotten captured. Seriously? No wonder Talon is such a legendary figure. Everyone else is functionally retarded. The warden arrives and tries to get them to tell him who sent them, and when they refuse to talk, he brings in two of their friends whose tongues have been removed and tries to blackmail them. That doesn't go too well, as one of them manages to kill herself and the warden is forced to kill the other. He retreats when he sees the prisoner's reactions. We then cut to Michelle walking into the war room while Cromwell's generals discusses about the plan to assassinate the other kings and take over the continent.
Of course!
Oh, I couldn't resist. He tells them that he's been given full command and they go over the plan more in detail. We then cut to the feast to see that the kings aren't too terribly interested in the festivities, but much more interested in the crucified Talon, whom they start to recognize, and finally we find out that they also owe him a favor.
We owe that man too much. Let him die like some dog at the hands of Cromwell.
Sorry, I'm completely out of jokes for this. Anyway, the wedding ceremony is about to start and everything looks very bleak for our hero. Back in the dungeon, 3 women from the harem shows up for some reason and free the prisoners. They arm up, have their epic speech and then charge off. The sailor gets his revenge on the warden. And we cut back to the ceremony. The trap is about to be sprung, the kings prepare to rescue Talon, and Talon is about to free himself from the crucifixion. And then Talon breaks free and calls out his arch-nemesis' name. This causes everyone to attack each other when the prisoners show up and decides not to lose instantly this time. What breaks out is an epic fight and Cromwell flees the scene. I'm not going to spoil this glorious scene, so let's just fast forward a bit. Cromwell prepares to escape the palace but runs into Talon with his three-bladed sword. Right, I'd forgotten about that thing. While Cromwell and his guards deal with Talon, Michelle tries to steal away Alana, but Cromwell notices and follows. Fortunately, the rebels show up and save Talon. It's about time they learned how to do stuff without constantly failing. Michelle meanwhile reveals that he planned to kill and take Cromwell's place all along. What a shock. Alana tries a running joke once more and... Was it worth it, movie? Really? Anyway, he starts to shapeshift and it turns out that he is... Susha!
What a twist!
No, seriously, a blind man could see this twist from a mile away. He uses his glowing nail polish of death to control her when Cromwell shows up and is easily brushed aside. And then Susha tries to kill him? Possess him? It's not really clear, but he's interrupted once more as Talon arrives and they fight over who gets to avenge himself on Cromwell. He tries to kill the Talon with his nail polish, but Talon shoots him with his... let's just say what it is, a gun blade, but at least... it's not as stupid as the ones in Final Fantasy VIII. Anyway, they have their epic showdown. It seems to go easy for Talon until Cromwell breaks his sword, but then Talon reveals there's a dagger inside the sword. 10 bucks says there's a Swiss Army knife inside that dagger. He disarms Cromwell, who takes out his scepter, which has not one, but 2 hidden blades inside of it. Who keeps coming up with these bloody weapons? They keep on struggling for a bit until all seems lost, but then Talon reveals a hidden wrist blade which he uses to kill Cromwell. Ezio Auditore doesn't have this many hidden weapons in his wet dreams. Oh yeah, and in the meantime a snake has tried to strangle Alana. Huh? Oh, sorry, she just kinda became uninteresting, so I forgot about her. Susha makes one last attempt, but is immediately stabbed to death. Wow, that was pointless. Anyway, the rebellion is won, and they all sit around contemplating on the feeling of having actually been useful for once. Micah crowns himself king, Talon collects his reward, and we end on a promise for more adventures. This movie is glorious! Despite the silliness of this movie, I absolutely love it. The actors are great, the music is fantastic even when it's unintentionally hilarious, and the sets remind me of why I love movies from this era so much. The main complaint I have is that Susha is fairly silly, and I found his appearance to be lame, and also an alter ego who is modeled after a caricature of Machiavelli who serves a man named Cromwell. Come on! And it also doesn't help that he never comes across as a true threat. It's just a shame we never got the sequel we were promised. Wait, there was a sequel? That began production in 2007 and was then released on direct-to-DVD in 2012. That does not bode well. At all. Still, we have this movie and I say you should check it out. It's one of the more gratifying experiences I had in quite a while, and despite the fact that I just spent the entire review spoiling it, you didn't miss much because this is one of those movies that has to be experienced. If you can't have fun with this, then I pity you. Next time we'll be looking at one of the more beloved franchises in sci-fi. Stay tuned.